is truly evil, making Jumba pretend to be mean to Plickly.
Just finish my experiment!
Now that Stitch has found his forever home with Lilo and Nani, who might Jumba recruit to help enact his revenge? The remake of Lilo and Stitch saw a retelling of the brilliant doctor, who abandoned the potential of discovering his own Ohana in favor of apprehending Stitch and fleeing from the law. As the primary antagonist for the rebooted franchise so far, it's likely that Jumba will return for the sequel, with new plans for wreaking havoc across the galaxy, and finally regaining control of his magnum opus, Experiment 626. To escape imprisonment and stand a chance against the Galactic Federation, Jumba will need to rely on new allies. And fortunately for him, he created a score of experiments who may remain loyal to his cause. In today's video, I'll dive into some other experiments in the Lilo and Stitch franchise and explain why I'd love to see them make their live-action debut.
What do you know about Gantu?
We know everything about him. He's a stinky head, and he tries to get our experiments.
Number 1. Angel. Anyone familiar with the Lilo and Stitch franchise knows about Angel, or Experiment 624. Often acknowledged as Stitch's female counterpart and love interest, Angel has an interesting story with ambitions and goals that provide her with a prosperous future. Initially one of Jumba's battle class experimentations, Angel's voice acts as a siren song, strong enough to convert a good individual toward evil. When her character debuted, Jumba designed her to revert rehabilitated individuals and experiments to evil, forcing them to lose their progress. Fortunately, Angel's transformative songs have a reverse switch. If she sings in reverse, she can convince others to do good. Her first interactions with Lilo and Stitch occurred while working with the Federation captain Gantu. However, she's eventually rescued, allowing her relationship with Stitch to bloom and her music career to take off. Lilo and Stitch tried to help all the experiments find their place in the world or the greater galaxy, and Angel's passion for music transcends a simple life in Hawaii. She becomes an intergalactic singing sensation and Stitch's long-distance partner, who comes to visit him from time to time. In the live-action universe, it would make sense for Jumba to recruit Angel to his cause. According to the lore, her abilities don't work on the experiments made after her, including Stitch, but Jumba wouldn't need Stitch if he could turn someone else, like the Grand Councilwoman, evil.
Trog's household is infiltrated and Jumba's database compromised.
Number 2. Leroy. If Jumba can't get away with turning others evil, he may return to the drawing board and try to perfect his most perfect creation. The last time we saw him in Lilo and Stitch, he attempted to flee Federation capture with Stitch as his prisoner, claiming that he would turn his Experiment 626 into a destructive force of nature once he deleted Stitch's ability to love. Fortunately, Stitch and Lilo managed to stop Jumba and save themselves, but the implications are terrifying. Stitch nearly lost his ability to care for others, including his newfound Ohana. In the sequel to the animated franchise Leroy and Stitch, we learn that Jumba is forced to make one final creation, Experiment 629. Meant to be everything that Stitch is not, Leroy is nearly indestructible and can even disguise himself as Stitch by changing his fur color from red to blue. He's also noted for various clones who help him wreak havoc and destroy anything in their path. Unlike the other experiments, he's impossible to rehabilitate, making him the most dangerous of Jumba's creations and the only one who would need to spend his life in prison.
I shall name you Leroy! What? It is a genius name!
Number 3. Reuben. While most experiments can become good and live amongst humans, Leroy isn't the only one Lilo and Stitch deem an enemy. However, I use the term lightly because Experiment 625 is a delight. It took a few tries before Jumba got Stitch right, meaning he had a few prototypes who didn't make the final cut while he was looking for someone who could conquer entire worlds. The last of these failed experiments is Reuben, who has all of Stitch's powers but can't be bothered to use them. His greatest downfall, or perhaps his greatest asset, is his incredible laziness. Reuben can only bother himself to make the best-tasting sandwiches in the galaxy, and swaps quips with his partner Captain Gantu. Although Reuben doesn't know where his fellow experiments go or what they do, he likes his role as Gantu's personal galley officer and chef. Granted, he's an enemy to Lilo and Stitch by association. Still, he could debut alongside Gantu in the Lilo and Stitch sequel, as the first film wrote out the Federation officer entirely. If Jumba's other experiments escape, the Grand Councilwoman could dispatch Gantu to catch them, with Reuben being the first he finds.
Why don't you tell us how you really feel, Blubber Buns?
Good always triumphs over evil, and I am good.
Number 4. Bonnie and Clyde. Sometimes people come in perfect pairs. That's the case for Gantu and Reuben, Lilo and Stitch, and Bonnie and Clyde. Yes, you heard me right. There are 2 experiments in the Lilo and Stitch canon named after the infamous outlaws from the 1920s. Experiment 149 and Experiment 150 are package deals, designed to communicate with and feel drawn to one another. Their unique skills make them adept at crime as they're experts in theft and evasion. While Jumba might not admit it, he may have learned something from working with Pleakley, including the merits of working within a team. If he still has his heart set on turning Experiment 626 into the most destructive force the galaxy has ever seen, he must capture and remove him from Earth. Who better to help him than 2 of Stitch's fellow experiments, who know how to steal what they want and vanish without a trace?
Whenever we want. I mean, if that appeals to you, I guess you could come with.
Number 5. Nosy. Speaking of vanishing without a trace, that's what everyone wants from their most embarrassing secrets and memories. Humiliation and blackmail may be the quickest way to force an enemy into submission, and Jumba was well aware of how powerful information could be when he created Experiment 199. Someone of intellect, Jumba may take the road less traveled when handling problems. In Lilo and Stitch, he exploits human emotion to make Lilo do what he wants, destroying her parents' room to get a reaction. With the right information, Jumba can do serious harm, precisely what he intended when he created Nosy. Unfortunately, something went wrong during the creation process, leading to a mistake in Nosy's programming. Instead of embarrassing secrets, Nosy brings out the local gossip, which might turn the lives of Lilo and Nani upside down as they contend with an angry community and otherworldly threats. If Jumba is as threatening as he claims, he could find a way to use Nosy's quirks as an ample distraction to put his mind to work.
I'm sending you back to Gantur with some unflattering nicknaming of my own.
Number 6. Swapper. It would be detrimental to Jumba if he found his intellect and villainous prowess in the body of a mild-mannered alien like Pleakley. It would also ruin his plans if he finally caught Stitch only to learn another person or experiment was inhabiting his body, unable to use his powers or create chaos in the same way. You might be asking, how would Lilo and Stitch's sequel implement a Freaky Friday situation where 2 people's minds find themselves swapping bodies and lives? The answer is Experiment 355, also known as Swapper. Swapper can switch anyone's mind, which could lead to interesting storylines. Jumba might want to switch bodies with Stitch to use his strength and invulnerability to take over the galaxy. Likewise, Swapper can switch the minds of Lilo and Nani, forcing the sisters to live in one another's shoes for a day, so they might learn one another's struggles and gain mutual respect. Granted, being in someone else's body might be scary, but it may also allow someone to learn a lot. For Jumba, embodying Stitch may teach him something about being part of a family.
Stitch? Stitch? What's happening?
Number 7. Spooky. I can think of a few things that are spookier than waking up in someone else's body, but if anyone could come up with a Halloween's worth of scares, it's Experiment 300. Created to terrify entire civilizations into submission, this experiment's various forms are distinguishable by their glowing eyes and hissing voices. Given the name Spooky, he can turn into someone's worst fear, forcing them to submit or flee from the scene. Since Jumba seems to believe that human emotion is one of their greatest weaknesses, his decision to manipulate them using fear tactics doesn't seem out of character. It's possible that one of his earlier creations held the key to society's downfall and that he didn't need Stitch after all. While there are some experiments with bad intentions, others will have a change of heart once they reach Earth, willing to live alongside humans and find Ohanas of their own. Lilo and Stitch has always preached the importance of family and caring for others regardless of their background. It's also a fantastic narrative about nature versus nurture, which will show us time and again that kindness is in all of us, if we're given the chance to embrace it. Should Lilo and Stitch welcome Stitch's fellow experiments into their home, or should they ultimately return to Federation custody with Jumba? Should they debut in Lilo and Stitch 2? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
I'd put it somewhere in the S's between shockingly lame and stunningly lame.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay updated on our uploads.
Neither of you did anything. It was Floaty Head up there.